Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pre-show of the Codex podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Sonny Kruger. I'm joined by my co-host today, the one and only, the Ric Flair of comic books himself,
Woo!
Uncle Gary.
How you doing? Good to be back with you on the podcast, my friend.
Yeah, glad to have you back. And I somebody else, I don't know who it was today, but when I signed on, I saw they had picked the Sunisher. So
The
that's why.
Sunisher, nice.
Yeah, so that's why I just left it. I'm like, okay, whoever picked that, I'll leave that. Is the Sunisher for
I like
today?
that. I like the Sunisher.
Yeah.
The sun is sure to shine today. How's that?
That is right. Not here in Chicago though. It's been dark all day. It's been a dark and gloomy day all day here. But yesterday happened to be mine and Dan Kelly's birthday. And
that's just too much goodness just to have for one day. I don't know how they could let you both have birthdays on that day.
hey, and Michelle Pfeiffer that day too.
Well, okay. Both of y'all just got moved to the back of the line.
Well, at least I could say I'm younger. But in 10 years, I'll look older than she does because she doesn't seem to age.
I don't know. I'll take her. She might look younger now.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I'll for right now, I'll try to pretend that I look younger. But yeah, so it was our birthday, so now I'm 35. And 35 years ago, in a place called Croydon, England, suddenly, at a place that's usually rainy, the sun came out, and this man was born.
Did the sun came out when you were born, or the sun hid when you were born?
That day, the sun was shining. It was all meant to be.
Wow. Well, I can't. I can only imagine that poor old England. So, do you have dual citizenship?
If I really wanted, if I went back to England, I would just have to sign some papers.
Okay.
So, as of right now, I'm an American citizen, but England, I'd still have to work on it a little bit.
I guess the only negative is you can't be president, right?
I guess, but who knows? Maybe I can make the impossible possible. We'll see. Maybe another time.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I think 35. I'm finally old enough to be president. I think they say you have to be 35 and older. So
you do have to be 35.
So there's one thing I mark off. Now I got that age. And hey, Mr. Keith, it's why his name is Sonny. With the sun being out, but actually, I felt that it went perfect. That it was a sunny day. I was named after Sonny from The Godfather.
Wow. Well,
named after.
So your name could have been Corleone.
Yeah, or really, it was going to be Santino, and they just nicknamed me Sonny. But my parents said, if we're just going to keep calling him Sonny, why don't we just give him the actual name Sonny? So
nice.
There you go. I was almost.
Well, you know what? You lucked out. It could have been Fredo too.
Yeah. I don't want that. My parents were not fans of him.
Yeah, you know what? That's not good. If your parents name you Fredo after the Godfather, that's just not good.
It's not a good start.
Especially if they say, you know what? Let's go out on a little boat ride.
Yeah. That's just whoever is in that situation. Don't go on that boat ride.
Don't go on that ride. No.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it won't end well.
Yeah. But since it was my birthday, you know what I had a little while ago?
Cake.
I didn't mail call. I did have some cake. But so now I can just say that it's mail call. That's what I had. So you know what? I might as well show everybody a bit of what I got to celebrate his birthday of mine. My mother said, Sonny, you know what to get. You pick out all the stuff. So here's some money. Get yourself what you want. I got some stuff for filming. I saved some, but you don't really, I don't think you care to see all the filming stuff. But I did also get.
Did you say filmy stuff? You got filmy stuff?
Filming stuff for my filming.
It's filmy, like slimy.
No. Just
I know
outfits and things like that.
I'm here to bedevil you. You know that.
I trust me. I know. After it's been a year, Uncle Gary, you've been a year.
Mike and I can't wait. Oh, it's Wednesday. We get to bedevil Sonny.
Yep. So the comic books I got these a few I got from Heroes Corner Comics. Of
Well, there
course,
you go.
yeah, they had quite a sale. So I got X-Men Uncanny X-Men number 366.
And this is from money your mother gave you.
That is right.
Nice. I like this. And that's a nice cover.
Yeah, X-Men number 19.
Oh, there you go. Look at that of the new.
And
Oh,
21.
there you go.
Yeah, also got some X-Men number 22.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, the Silver
Jim Lee
Samurai.
goodness.
And then X-Men number 23.
Look at you making a dent in that run.
Yeah, and then Heroes Corner Comic Books surprised me. Heroes Corner Comics surprised me. There was extra comic books in there. So, look at that.
Did they know it was your birthday?
I don't believe so, but either way, maybe, maybe not. So who knows? But they gave me, what is this? X Factor Deluxe.
Okay, there you go. Wild Child.
Yeah. And they also gave me this variant edition of One World Under Doom, issue number 1.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's a nice surprise. It's always good to get comic books as a surprise, some extra comic books.
It's hard to get armor with that snout in it so perfectly.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, that is a pretty interesting character. And also, I got some trade paperbacks. I got The King in Black.
Okay.
I had not read it, so I'm like, you know what? I saw it was a little bit of a sale. I'm like, you know what? I will add it to the list of what to check out. And Uncle Geary, you're growing on me. I got this. I'm like, you know what? This sounds like an interesting story. And I think you may be a bit proud when I tell you that one of the comics I got was the Legion of Superheroes, the Great Darkness Saga.
Wow, that's a big boy book there. That's a great book, Sonny.
So I look forward to reading it and checking it out.
Nice. I am impressed. That is one of the greatest Legion tales there is.
Because I looked, I'm like, you know what? Seems good. And maybe one day we'll review it. And then I also got Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now I know it's a big story. I hear a lot about, but I haven't read it. So I'm like, I gotta get this. I gotta check it out and see what I feel about Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Well,
and of course,
nice.
And of course, the mother on the day of my, before she did say, okay, I got you some comics. She's like, I don't know if they're good. Maybe you like them, but you know what? I did like the comic books she got. She got me Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe One Last Time, variant edition.
Look at Mom's picking out books too.
Yeah.
How about that?
And then Weapon X-Men.
There you go, with Thunderbird on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Red Hulk, issue number 2.
All right. Mom was recently in a store. Those are all books from the past month. Yeah.
And of course, she knows her son loves his X-Men, so she got me Rogue, the Savage Land number 3.
Look at her. She got you a half-naked Rogue.
Yeah. She remembers me and my brother, my dad always having X-Men on when I was a kid, and so she knows some of the characters.
Has there only been the one X-Men 94 series so far? Has the second one come out yet?
Oh, X-Men 97.
97.
It will not be back until at least next year.
Okay, so it's only been one season so far, right?
So still the one. Still the one. And then I had this package from our very own mighty Mike Harbor. Mike was not able to join us today. He's got some stuff going on with work. We missed you, man, and we look forward to having you back. Well, he sent me this package, and man, it really touched my heart. He even had a letter in it. I'm not going to read the letter, but I sent him a message today to say thank you.
Did he send you the nude pictures?
Oh no, he didn't. Maybe I should delete that thank you and be like, excuse me, there was something missing in there. But he sent me some comic books and
a nice letter too. That is awesome. He's a thoughtful guy. He's my best friend in the world. I love that man. So,
yeah. And you know what I saw? Because first there were some graphic novels in there, but there's also some single issues. And this one looked familiar. And that is Detective Comics 455.
There we go.
which we reviewed a couple months ago. And you know, what was one thing I remember saying was, you know, I had to read it on the phone. I said one day it'd be nice to read it in comic book form. Well, now I have it in comic
Now
book
you
form.
can. That's a tradition. I gave him that book. Gosh, it's been, I don't know how many years ago now, but I gave him that book. And I said, this is one of the greatest Batman stories you've never heard of. He read that, fell in love of it. And so we would go on a spree where we would buy them up whenever we see them. We give them as gifts. So he is continuing that proud tradition. Matter of fact, I have a graded copy of that he gave me. You know, so it's been a tradition that he really loves, is to give that book out. So I'm glad you have a copy of it now.
Yeah, I'm glad to have it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to revisiting it in comic book form
and rereading it as a comic,
yeah.
on the phone. I agree.
And this is the one I was meaning to ask him about because I'm
there we go, baby.
So Action Comics number 457. So this one I'm like, I wonder. Definitely got to ask, and maybe we'll review it sometime.
Well, it's mainly about the cover. That is the famous pillow biter cover. So
well, the cover kind of does stand out because I've seen this mentioned before.
It's called the pillow biter issue. When you look at it, it looks very bad. When you read what the kid's saying, it's not so bad. Why don't you reveal your identity? But the thing is, because he's dying, why isn't Superman wearing pants? Okay, listen. It's one thing to rip his shirt open and show the S, right? Why are his pants off? Bob Oskner drew that cover, and Mike, I wish he was here to tell the story. When we met Mike Grill did the backup story in there. That's a Green Arrow backup story, and he had Mike Grill sign the book, and Mike Grill signed it. I did not draw this cover.
I did not draw this cover.
So that was great. Oh,
so glad to have it in my collection.
You listen, you're special. I got him a pillow biter cover a few years ago too, and so that he's continuing that tradition too. But yeah, you gotta be special. You know, when people talk about the pillow biter issue of Action, now you know exactly what they mean.
I have my own copy of it.
You have your own copy. Yeah, you got Vegetable Lover. My God, you are branching out, Sonny Kruger.
And I got this one that I think you like. I know quite a few of us in Code X enjoy this one.
I think I can tell. Well, I saw just a hint of it, and I know what it is.
Dan's a great book, but I'm not too sure which one it was on. And then let's see. John Hill says, I collect mostly the Batman Neil Adams issues. A friend got me a signed copy of 222.
Well, that's great. That's a great one. Yeah. We're getting ready to review a Neil Adams book today.
Nice. Yeah, and all the old John Hill also said all the old Archies are worse because they would sneak in lots of suggestive stuff that they got bored when they got bored.
Oh yeah.
Well, speaking of some naughty stuff,
there you go.
Lobo Military Christmas special.
Have we reviewed that?
So this, I was like, wow, like it's almost like you guys truly know me. This story, since back in 2021, I've been saying we should review this around Christmas time, and for some reason, every year somehow it passes by, and somehow we have still not reviewed this issue.
Okay. So do you have this issue then? Have you had?
No, I've only read it through the phone. So when we finally review it, I'll be really very glad to finally get it. My reading it again will be in comic book form when I review it.
When we do reviews and I have to do it off the tablet or whatever, I always give it a lesser review because I hate reading it like it. That is a great issue. I know you've read it, so we have to schedule that for a me, you, and Mike review this year as we get closer to Christmas.
Yes,
that is one of the greatest Christmas specials ever.
Because even when I read it, because now it has been a few years. When I read it on the phone, I still really enjoyed it. So I know I'm going to enjoy it even more in comic book form.
Mike hooked you up. Nice.
Yeah, I was going to say that wasn't it though. There was still more.
What?
Yes, wow. I was a very happy man, and I got Mouse parts 1 and 2.
Okay.
And now Mouse is one that I hear so many amazing things about it. The story that I should definitely read it. One day I should get it. And well, now it is in my collection. I've looked at it before. Should I? But
only comic ever to win a Pulitzer.
Yeah.
And then the Pulitzer committee, after that happened, changed the rules so a comic could never win again, because so beneath them that a comic could win it.
That's ridiculous.
And Now's is an amazing piece of literature.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to reading it. Boo says phone poser. Some of us don't read. Some of us, it's hard to get some comic books, but I did get some more. So my collection is growing, as you see, and I did get Mighty Mike also sent me Invincible, Volume 1. You know, before I remember looking at Invincible, like, you know, I hear so many great things about the show. And real quick, Dan Kelly says Mouse is amazing. Real quick, looking at the show, I was like, oh, maybe I should check out the comic before. And then I could only find like huge omnibuses. So I was a little like, oh, I don't know if I really want to get this huge comic, but look at that. Now I can start. This is, I believe, the first 4 chapters. So I'm excited for that. And then this story is one that always definitely touches close to my heart. This is Infinity Gauntlet.
Wow.
So Infinity Gauntlet is one of the first stories that got me like really back into comic books. And originally I looked at this cover and I got it, but it gave me a different cover. I was still like, okay, it's cool, and I still love the story, but I love that now one of the stories that got me back into comics, I have it with that cover that I originally wanted.
Nice.
And then there was one more.
Damn, Mike is Santa Claus and Easter Bunny and everything all wrapped up into one here.
Yeah, so he's a good friend to have. And then on top of it, look at that. He sent me comic books on top of that. And one more. And this is The Boys, Volume 1. So I've been warned about The Boys. Like, Sonny, I don't know if it'd be for you. And I'm like, maybe I'll kind of go away. Maybe I'll look at other comic books. But it has found its way into my collection. So I'm so pleased. Everything happens for a reason, and it's in my collection now. So I couldn't help but open it. And even just the opening lines just pulled me in.
How many issues does that collect? 1 through what?
This is for quite a while, because it includes the stories. Okay, 1 through 14.
Oh, so you'll get to meet Love Sausage, and I know that you'll like that.
Nice. So that's why, yeah. So like I said, the story that I was warned about, and then when I even looked up, I'm like, you know what? I don't really think I will have much of a problem, because I could take quite a bit of
Love Sausage
stuff. And like I said, as soon as I open up the book, I was already flipping the pages, going to the next page and the next page. And Dan Kelly says The Boys is great. Mike hooked you up.
Yes, he did. So
Mike, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, man.
Mike, good job. Way to represent, brother. Yeah, I know he's sorry he couldn't be on here. It was a late work thing he had to take care of. And it's now, I will say this. We'll see how you handle The Boys, because you had to bail on Preacher.
So that's I was wondering, but
now Preacher, you bailed because of the blasphemy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Preacher, it wasn't so much the violence or deviant. No. It wasn't the violence, sex, or deviant sex. It was the blasphemy that got you, right?
That's the only thing.
Okay.
So much. It takes a lot to. It does take a lot for me to say no.
Okay. And I don't think there's much blasphemy in The Boys, but
then I should love it.
But there is plenty of violence and deviant sex. So you know.
Then it's just jumped up my list.
There you go.
So. And John Hill says, I watched the TV show. Seemed like a bad Superman with some real problems. Homelander.
Listen, if you think
The Boys is a pretty good read.
If you think that the Boys show is like up to here and wow, that's nuts. The book is up to here, brother. The book is amazing. Matter of fact, when they said they were doing The Boys, showing The Boys, all of us who had read it pretty much, they can't do that. They can't do that show. Yeah. Preacher was amazing, my friend. Yeah. Preacher was amazing. Preacher is my favorite comic that is not a superhero comic.
And usually, because I know you're in a different spot today, usually you have Preacher showing behind you.
I do. Today I had to have a different vantage point because my Washington Capitals are on a playoff game right now. So, I'm dividing my attention just a little bit.
All right. And Dan says, wait until you read Happy for when we review it.
Oh, Happy.
that's what me and Dan are set to review next week.
Nice. Happy is great.
Yeah, and Bruce's Preacher is one of the all-time best series.
Booge, we are in agreement, my friend. Yeah.
So as you all know, I've got a lot of comic books to read, and I'm more than happy to check them out. So as you can tell, it was a great way to end my 34th year, or age 34, and now I begin 35. And
you're such a young whelp.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And with that, Uncle Gary, are you ready to jump on to the actual show?
Why not? Let's get this party started. Look at all those high production values.
Yeah, we got you and Sal to thank for that.
Yeah. Me and Sal. Oh, okay, nice.
Okay, we are on to the actual show of the Codex podcast. The pre-show was fun with my birthday mail call.
Yep.
And with everybody about
Mike Harper set you up.
That's right. He and my mother did. So I thank everybody, especially my mom and Mighty Mike, for getting me a lot of comic books that I love or shall love and shall enjoy them. At least give them a read. But yeah. So here we go. Let's see what Dan Kelly says. He says, my wife gave me some cool books for my birthday. I'll be showing them this Saturday. That's right, everyone. Make sure to check out Comics Unleashed. Yeah, and then quickly, we always chat with our audience. And John said, yeah, I still have to catch up reading some Golden Age stuff I found in the dollar bins. Anything that's not superheroes usually winds up there locally.
Yeah, anytime you can get Golden Age books, no matter what the genre are, that's worth looking at, man. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Speaking of like ages and things like that, today we are set to review the comic book that people say set up the Bronze Age of comic books, and that is Green Lantern / Green Arrow, issue number 76. Yep. No evil shall escape my sight.
Absolutely.
But before we get that, we got a lot of comic book news, which I'll start us off with a rundown. Then we have our Variant Insanity. And today, Uncle Gary is the man with the 5 statements for right or wrong. Then we'll be having somebody, one of his favorite characters, or his favorite character, Aquaman, will be featured in our random panel of the week. And I think you're all really going to like it, because he wants to set something up for some of his men, for some of his fellow seamen.
Yes, absolutely.
And of course,
who doesn't like seamen?
Hey, many do. We know Aquaman loves them. But we will be having also a very special character join the F list, and it may be one of the greatest F listers today.
Oh,
well, we'll see. It'll be a surprise.
Well, that is low praise.
But all right, everybody. As usual, I will start us off with the rundown. R.I.P. Silver Surfer. Death of the Silver Surfer is a comic book event that is set to be coming out in a little less than 2 months. On June 11th starts the Death of the Silver Surfer storyline. Also, the Fantastic Four are up to quite a bit. They're getting quite a few comic books coming out with the movie getting set. So the Fantastic Four will be getting a series right ahead of the movie release, and it will come out on July 25th. But that's not all they've got going on. Not just a new comic series, not just a new movie, but they are set to have a crossover with Gargoyles.
What? FF and Gargoyles?
That's right. And it'll be saying somewhere or looking like around October. But you know who else is getting a comic book? That movie that lost millions and millions of dollars, Megalopolis. It's going from the movie. It's getting its own comic book series. They'll be coming out later this year. And then, of course, we've got some drama, some gossip. And that's, with all that trouble with Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, it's found its way into Marvel, and now Marvel has gotten a subpoena from Justin Baldoni's people about the character of Nice Pool.
Ah.
But they're not pulling that. Marvel's not going to take that out. They're not going to take Nice Pool out of the movie or anything like that. But on DC side of things, somebody, or I should say a movie, is getting canceled. And that is Sergeant Rock. The movie has been canceled. So far, they were talking about it before being Daniel Craig. Then it got switched that it's going to be Colin Farrell. And now the movie has just been canceled.
I did read. It seems like there's talk that it will be that possibly it could be postponed. That it's just this iteration of what they were going to do right now, and the way Gunn wants to do his universe. If he really wants to get it done, I believe it will be. It just won't be right now.
Yeah, and two, also that maybe this version, like I said, right, how they had this idea. Maybe this idea is canceled, but that doesn't mean there can't ever be a Sergeant Rock movie. Just maybe this one be different people. Sonny Kruger as Sergeant Rock. There's still a chance. There's still hope.
You think you could be Frank Rock?
I could do it. Hey, Richard said, "Hey guys, hey." And
Hello, Rich.
Fantastic Four Gargoyles. I hope I heard that right. Yes, you did. Fantastic Four and Gargoyles. That's coming out maybe later this year. And one thing I read about it, speaking of Fantastic Four and Gargoyles, is that they're going to set to have villains from each series. So from Gargoyles, Cold Steel set to be their villain, and from the Fantastic Four, Annihilus is set to be the villain to join it. So that should be good. Especially people like, anybody could enjoy it, but Gargoyles, me and Jamie, we grew up as kids in the 90s, so we grew up watching Gargoyles, so we're always fans. And I know Jamie, not long ago, he read a Gargoyles comic and did a quick review of it. Him and Precious have been doing a lot of those quick reviews. Check them out on.
It's like they spend a lot of time reading comics. Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine
that.
We actually read comic books.
I was not a child of the 90s, so I didn't partake of the Gargoyles series. But, I know a lot of people love it. And was that a Disney property?
I believe it was.
Okay.
And Richard says that the Batman 2 got postponed to 3025.
3025. Okay.
Okay, so we got 1,000 years.
Okay, well, there you go.
Dan's got a recommendation of who I could play. He says Sonny can play his cousin, Johnny Pebble.
Johnny Pebble, Sergeant Rock's cousin, Johnny Pebble. Okay. Well,
I do. Uncle Gary, does it seem like a good fit for me?
You're a chip off the old rock. I think you'd be great.
I'm like that toy that I never got, Chameleon. I could turn into many different characters. The toy that I still didn't get.
Well, I wouldn't. That's because that toy had some self-preservation. It didn't want to be another Sonny Kruger victim.
It's a shame. Shame. Mr. Keith says war movies with groups of people have been James Gunn's default type of story. He'll type the script up with 2 other people over a long weekend. Yeah, I can see that happening. But one thing too, when it comes to the death of Silver Surfer, with that article on CBR. Now I go to CBR a lot, so we've got many articles from there, countless amounts. I'm checking it out pretty much every day. So I am a fan of the site. However, with this article, I found 2 little mistakes. As a writer, I don't like to catch mistakes, especially when something's professionally published. I can get a Facebook post. It doesn't have to be perfect. But when it's an article, 2 things I saw that it said, instead of Julie Garner will be playing the Silver Surfer, Shella Ball Silver Surfer. It said Julis. They put an S instead of the A. And then also, one part when it said Silver Surfer, it had the S and then the I also capital. So I was like, nobody was proofreading that. Come on, guys.
No, come on. Yeah.
But that is set to come out. The first issue of it, starting that story arc of Death of Silver Surfer, is set to come out June 11th. Yeah, so what about you? Do you think you'll be checking out that story? Any of the multiple Fantastic Four stories coming out?
I don't know. Is it going to tie into the movie? Is that what they're going to do? We're going to have the death of Norrin Radd and then have Shella Ball be the in the comics. Are they going to mirror the movie? What are we doing here?
I almost kind of wonder, is that what they're going to do? Are they going to try to set things up like, oh, look, he's dead, and don't be so mad at the movie? But the other Fantastic Four series, not the one with Gargoyles, the ones with just themselves. First of all, Dan says CBR has so many typos in their stories, it frustrates the hell out of me. See, we're not alone. Us guys born on April 29th are not alone. But the Fantastic Four series, where it's just the Fantastic Four, is set to go with the movie. And when I was on CBR, when they weren't making mistakes, it did say the comic book. It said the comic will be written as if it comes from the world the Fantastic Four inhabit, the same way that the Ant-Man book, Look Out for the Little Guy, was presented as though it existed in universe. It will be written by Matt Fraction and illustrated by Mark Buckingham. And then also Marvel Comics editor-in-chief C.B. Kabolsky commented to Deadline about the comic, saying, as Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four and their stories have always been at the very center of the Marvel Universe. With the Fantastic Four first steps coming later this summer, we at Marvel all felt this was the perfect opportunity to bring our teams together and in honor of their legacy in both the world of film and within our comics. So that one should go along with the movie, because so now I'm guessing the movie has them already famous and beloved, so I'm sure they'll mention the comic book somewhere in there. I guess these comics are they'll tie in. So question is answered. That Fantastic Four series will go along with the MCU movie. I really doubt the Gargoyles one will, and I don't think the Silver Surfer one, just my opinion, I don't think the Silver Surfer one will go with it. I just think maybe comics are going to start. I hope not, because I love the Silver Surfer. He's one of my favorites, and I love him as Norrin Rad. Maybe they're going to start making some with like, oh, he died, let's have the female one. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm not I was surprised when I saw the footage from the movie, and I'm like, what? Silver Surfer's got a rack? What's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, not many of us too happy, like I said, especially when you are the Norrin Rad one. Like I said, Julia Garner is a great actress.
She is.
Like I said, as a fan of the Silver Surfer, I would like to see it be, Norrin Rad.
I think and I think when she first found out, she was like, that's a guy, right? Isn't he a guy? So
yes,
Julia was a little upset there.
Yeah. And then Mr. Keith says, okay, but when it turns to night in the Fantastic Four versus Gargoyles book, does the Thing break out of his rocky skin and become Ben Grimm? We shall see.
Is that what the Gargoyles do? They break out a rock and become alive in the night?
Yep.
Okay, well, see, I'm learning something new. Something new.
There you go. Maybe one day Gargoyles will get a movie. Who knows? Because now when you think about how fast the time is going by, now the show has been around 30 years. So now they've been around the characters.
The show's having birthday like you are. You're both 30-year-olds, 30-something-year-olds.
Yeah. And I don't know, have you seen the movie Megalopolis?
I have not.
So the Francis Ford Coppola one, it has Adam Driver in there. I remember hearing a lot about it, but I didn't end up seeing it. I know it's very long, and I know that it hit this huge budget. It's like I remember years of him like mentioning, "Oh, I'm working on this," but the film did not do so good at the theaters, box office.
How old is it now?
The movie?
Yeah, how old?
The movie just came out like in September or something. So
is that recent? Okay.
Yeah, so it finally came out then, and yeah, so now it is gonna have a comic book. Who knows? Maybe it will do better as a comic, because like I said, I haven't seen the movie to say, oh, this would work better as a comic or not. But who knows? Maybe we'll find some surprising success. But also from Screen Rant about Megalopolis, it said in an exclusive with the Hollywood Reporter, Abram Books revealed that it had received director Francis Ford Coppola's blessing to create a graphic adaptation of his latest film, Megalopolis. Writer Chris Ryall is penning the adaptation, and Jacob Phillips is taking the art duties. And I have heard that they said it's not supposed to be just an adaptation of it, not just like copying and making it a comic book form, but it's more supposed to be like they said like a sibling of the movie. So it's more to go along with the movie.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And Dan Kelly had said, John Goodman's a great actor too, but I don't want to see him as the Silver Surfer either. Exactly.
He'd be the Silver Buffet Surfer.
He's losing some of those LBs.
He has. Yes, he has. He is not as much man as he used to be. That's for sure.
But I'm with Dan. I still don't want to see him as the Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. And so with that little Hollywood gossip, with the whole Justin Baldoni, I'm trying to getting the subpoena to Marvel to take out the nice pull parts. What are your thoughts on it?
You might as well get a subpoena. See if Marvel do anything with that.
Mr. Keats says you can put the Megalopolis comic next to your prequel issues of Southland Tales.
Well, there you go. That sounds like a party.
But yeah, but with that, it almost seems like this whole thing with the Baldoni and Marvel and Lively, one of the Hollywood gossip. When me and Jamie first started the Codex podcast, it was all about Scarlett Johansson and the lawsuit with Marvel, and we were kind of like, "Oh, we got to talk about this again. Oh, this is what people are." And when we came into 2022, we said, "Oh, now we can finally put that behind us." And now this feels like one of those issues. We're like, "Oh, it's brought up again," and this isn't set to go to court until like March of 2026. So,
and this is this is just such a tawdry thing with Baldoni and Lively, and it's just an ugly story. Yeah. And I have no idea who's telling the truth and who's lying in this. I just don't know.
Yeah, like I said, it is a he said, she said, and so much gossip going on. Why can't we all just behave and love each other and be nice?
I don't know. It'd be a much better world, wouldn't
it? Yeah. Some might say that it's insane.
Insane? Are there variations of insanity?
There are many variations. One being variant insanity.
See, we knew it was coming.
Okay, everybody, you know how variant insanity works. You take a guess as to which comic book had the most variants this week. Uncle Gary, would you like to take a guess? And everybody in the chat, would you like to take a guess?
I'm going to say it was Godzilla versus Spider-Man.
Okay, Uncle Gary going with Godzilla versus Spider-Man. Let's see what else. Richard is going with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And he's saying that it has 57. So, anybody else want to take a guess? As usual, our very own Sell the Slab guy gives me the info. Boo says something dynamite.
Yeah, we didn't have any dynamite on the shelf, so I couldn't check this week. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that means that it's time. I'm up. And then Boo says Thundercats. So I'll get ready, give everybody a little bit of time before I do the countdown of the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And real quick, Dan Kelly jumped in and said, don't even know all the books that came out this week. Void Rivals, maybe? Well, one of you is right. And that was Booge, because Thundercats issue number 15 is the comic book this week that has the most variants.
We didn't have any dynamite books on the shelf, so I couldn't gauge. Damn it.
So would you like to take a guess as to how many variants Thundercats has this week?
A bushel.
And before, Richard had said 57.
Okay, I'm gonna say 23.
Okay, Uncle Gary going with 23. So let's everybody else in the chat, or even later on, if you're watching this, feel free to put in the comments. We like to know what you guess, what you think. And Bruce says he's in Sambo, and he says, check me out. Before he gives his answer of 15. All right, then. Uncle Gary, how many were you going with?
23.
23. I give everybody a countdown with a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dan Kelly comes in with 32. But Uncle Gary, you're the closest this week, Thundercats issue number 15 from Dynamite has a total of 27 variants.
So see, this is why nobody wants to carry Dynamite books. This is why Lunar doesn't want to carry them, or Penguin. They don't want to carry them because they do all these stupid variants that make it a pain in the ass to separate and distribute and all that. So that's why Dynamite was. I don't know if they've been picked up yet with a distributor or not. So right,
they still we know why.
Yeah, they still may be with previews. Nobody wants them because of this that stuff.
Yeah.
So
27 Thundercats this week.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
The week before or the month before, it'd be 20 something else. I really wonder if there's somebody out there who has like all of the variants of Thundercats.
There's got to be. There's got to be somebody that is their jam, that they want every Dynamite, variant cover.
I'm curious to see.
I do their thing.
Find that out.
Got to believe that there's somebody out there that's their thing. And you know what? If that's what they like to collect, good on them. That's fine.
Yeah, like I said, do what makes you happy. Like I said, we come in here talking comic books on the Codex podcast with the Codex Station makes us happy. That's what we do. So I do it. This makes me happy. So that's why I'm more than happy to come here every Wednesday. And so if collecting a bunch of Thundercats makes you happy, go ahead and do it.
Meow.
Man, Dan says they got to do something to get sales on all these licensed books.
There's that.
Yeah. But I genuinely am curious. I would love to one day, if someone had all those Thundercats variants, I would love to see a picture or something of it to see them. Yeah. But Uncle Gary, it's time that I put you to work because it's time for Right or Wrong, and you are the man with the 5 statements this week.
I was reading my sports section today. I just started jotting them down, so we'll see how topical they still are. When Mike couldn't make the show, I had to alter a few of them. So let's see. What will we start with? All right. It seems that there have been some positive reviews for the Thunderbolts movie, so I'm going to say that the Thunderbolt movie.
Uncle Gary, we have some breaking news. Someone in the comments is confessing. Mr. Keith says, I confess, I buy all the variants and all the copies that make it profitable for Dynamite.
Wow, Mr. Keith, you are banked up if you can do all that. So congratulations, my friend. You're the one. So
you're the one. And Dynamite owes you a big thank you.
Without you, Boom would go to Dynamite.
Yeah. Maybe they'll, as a thank you, they should give you a couple variants of their, 27 Thundercats variants.
They should make an exclusive variant, a Mr. Keith variant.
Maybe they know in Thundercats they might,
They might. Yeah, they absolutely might.
So, okay, Uncle Gary.
All right, so amid some positive reviews, I'm going to say that the Thunderbolts movie is going to be the best Marvel movie in years.
I will say wrong.
Okay.
Anybody in the comments, make sure to put down what you think, right or wrong. Okay.
Okay. Number 2, the upcoming History of the DC Universe book by Mark Waid is going to be the ultimate gift for us older fans.
I will say right. And for number 1, Boosh had said right. Richard had said false. Not too sure if that's for 1 or 2. Mr. Keith said right for number 1. But okay.
Okay.
Right. So I went with right for number 2.
I'm going to say Sonny, in light of it being his birthday, I don't think he looks a day over 50.
So I'm going to go with right.
Sonny doesn't look a day over 50.
I'm going to go with right on that one.
You think so?
I completely agree that I do not look a day over 50.
It doesn't look a day over 50. Absolutely. For Sonny Kruger. All right. In this week had the last was the last issue of Hell Riders or Hell Hunters, the the World War II book featuring Ghost Rider 44. And I think it's such a cool character that Ghost Rider 44 deserves his own book.
I respect you, Uncle Gary, and I take a lot in what you say. So I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to say right.
Very cool. All right. And then the last one, in light of what's happened in this Washington Capitals Montreal Canadiens series, Tom Wilson is the baddest man in the NFL. I mean, in the NHL. In the NHL.
Okay. I was going to say NFL. I was going to say
NHL,
wrong.
with his on ice hits and his fighting on the bench, after between periods and all that other crap that he's involved with. Tom Wilson is the baddest man in the NHL.
I'm just going to go ahead and agree with you and say right.
If he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, you hate him. That's for sure.
All right. So there was so number one. Let's see. Booge had right. The question was about the Thunderbolts.
The Thunderbolts movie. I think it's going to be the best Marvel movie in years.
Yeah. Dan Kelly had said right. Mr. Keith said right. Richard had said wrong. The reason I say wrong, I think it will be a great movie. However, I really enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine, so that's why I wouldn't say years.
Okay, I will concede that. You know what? I almost don't even consider that a Marvel movie. You know what I mean? But I get it. I get that.
So other than that, without that, I would say yes.
Gotcha.
I think because I am really looking forward to it, but I wouldn't say years because, like I said, with Deadpool and Wolverine. Okay, and then
yes, good answer. And goal.
And number two, the number two question was, your number two question again? Number two statement.
Well, we're just talking about the baddest man. He's the one that scored a goal. History of the DC Universe, upcoming book by Mark Waid will be just an absolute blessing and gift for us older DC comic fans.
Now, even though I'm not older, I went with right, and Booge went with right, and Richard.
Long-time fans, maybe not older fans, long-time fans.
Mr. Keith said right, and Dan Kelly said right, so everybody was with right on that one. So I think it's safe to say we're all really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be terrific.
Yeah, I think so too. I can't wait. The alternate covers on this thing are beautiful. So
maybe some variants. Who knows? Maybe it'll win some variant insanity.
No, it will not win variant insanity because they're probably do maybe 5 or 6 at most.
Yeah, there's a place called Dynamite that wants that win every week.
Yep.
Number 3 was about my age, right?
Yeah, Sonny does not look a day over 50.
And Richard said right, and Dan Kelly said wrong. I'm going to assume that he means that I don't look a day over 25. Mr. Keith said right. I thank you all for saying right. And Booge is going to get kicked out saying 3 wrong, 60.
So Dan and Booge think they've got you getting your geezer status on.
I know I'm getting a few grays, but not that many.
Oh, man. That's awesome. Very good. Well, some distension in the ranks on how youthful or not Sonny Kruger is.
But hey, remember, I also know how to edit. I could,
You cut that out? Is that what you're
I can cut that out, yeah.
After the fact? It's only people see the live feed, know that you're being questioned
Sonny,
as the geezer.
Your full head of hair just looks so great now, and there's not even one gray in there.
It look like one of the Beatles mop top cuts. Yeah, it'd be great.
The bowl haircut, yeah.
Yeah, well, channeling your English roots. That's right.
Hey, when I first came to the U.S., I had the bowl.
Did you?
I did. When I was a 2-year-old, I had the bowl haircut.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Oh, 2-year-old Sonny. I bet that was something to see.
It was.
Did you have a British accent in your limited vocabulary?
Oh, I actually had a very limited. I mean, I spoke a little bit, but I had speech delay as a kid, so I didn't speak much when I first came here at age 2. So I would say little, words here and there, little things, and then when I did mainly start to speak, then
you made up for all that lost time. Still are, aren't you?
Look at that! I said, look at me. I had a speech delay, and now I host a show. I host my own podcast. So there's hope, everybody. And every now and then you will hear me stumble, but I just get through it. I'll stumble and just continue on. So number 4 was
Number
about
4 was about Ghost Rider 44, with the Hell Hunters book coming, miniseries coming to an end at number 5, as it was supposed to. Ghost Rider 44, Sal Romano is such a cool character that Ghost Rider 44 deserves his own book.
Okay, and you know what? Everybody was in right with that one.
Okay, good.
Me too. We were all agreeing with it. And then number 5 was about which hockey player was that again?
That was Tom Wilson, the man that just scored a power play goal for my Washington Capitals, and they're up 3-0 in the tail end of the second period here. So
we were all agreeing with you with that one. And then for number,
so it's the baddest man. I said Tom Wilson is the baddest man. The Beast is always.
Richard says 6. Right, Beast is an Avenger.
Yes, Beast is an Avenger. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
that's a given. That's a universal given. Death, taxes, and the Beast is an Avenger. Thank you, Richard.
Right, and then there were some more comments that we're getting people going on to with back to number 1 that Mr. Keith said. Right, they have more than 5 James Gunn movies. They can copy off. It goes to the Thunderbolts. It really is reminding me kind of like Suicide Squad.
Mr. Keith's not wrong. He's not wrong there.
And then Dan Kelly said that he said, I'll change the word. Dan said, poop. I forgot about Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm changing my answer to wrong.
Yeah, that is valid. I did too, as did I. Because in my head, I don't equate that as a Marvel movie. You know, it's its own little pocket universe. So.
And then for number 2, Mr. Keith had said, right, if it's 2 of Mark Waid's passions, it's the DCU and taking lore very seriously.
Absolutely.
And this one, Mr. Keith had said, right, he said, can Sonny legally drink? Barely, but I'm able to. Still haven't touched the stuff.
Well, good for you. I don't drink either. That's just fine. Yeah, I bet the stuff doesn't touch you either.
It better not even try. And Dan says, that MFer looks like he's in his 80s. I don't know who he's talking about. Certainly not me. Because I'm younger than Dan.
You weren't even what's the age difference?
11 years.
11 years.
That's right.
Wow.
I'm a lie. So always remember that I'm way younger than Dan.
So where were you born? 1990?
Yep, that is right.
A 90s child. Oh my God. Jesus.
And Dan says you need to add 2-year-old bowl cut to the F list. No, that's an A-lister. I was A-lister back then, and still am to this day. You'd see me as a bowl haircut and say, "Wow, what a cute baby." You could tell that was a star right there.
My goodness. Did your parents knew what end of you to diaper?
I'm assuming so, because I'm the second born. So the mistakes can be made by my older brother. Then me,
mistakes
get it all right.
So he was the template.
So that's the thing. When you're the second born, you're the firstborn gets all the mistakes. The second born gets it all.
What's the age difference there?
2.5 years.
So did he grow up with an accent?
When he was a little boy, he had a little bit of it, and then it changed.
Then he changed. He came here, and you got that damn Chicago accent.
Yeah.
Or is that where you came to directly to Chicago?
Straight to Chicago, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan says, "A for all, that's a bad haircut." Nope. When you see it on me, you'd say, "Wow, that was a star." When I was a little baby, when I was even younger, before the bowl haircut, when I was 1, I was on a plane on a trip to the U.S. and actor Brian Dennehy was there. You know Brian Dennehy?
Mm-hmm.
And when I said he kept looking at this baby, he kept looking at me. You know why? Because he saw a star. He's a star, and he saw that little baby's going to grow up and be a star.
He was wondering if that was another one of his kids.
He was probably hoping. Like, look at that star. I wish I could be his dad.
Oh, God. Is that going to cost me more child support?
And Bruce says that Sonny's mom always said he had the perfect face for voice acting. Now, I may be a voice actor, but I've got the face for plenty of movies.
What was the line of Jerry Lawler used in Andy Kaufman? He said, Andy's mother wanted a girl and his father wanted a boy, and they were both satisfied. Oh my God!
Well, I can play many roles. I shaved this beard.
That's right.
I can knock many out. And Dan asked if my parents put me in a dress like Winston Churchill. I was always very manly. All right. I was always in the cool outfits with my bowl haircut. That wasn't very long, but yeah, I did grow up, in Bridgeport, so I always had White Sox stuff. So no dresses for this man, for this manly man.
We mentioned briefly Brian Dennehy. He was so great in Silverado. If you've seen that Western,
which one I gotta see.
Oh, he was so great. He was so great. Oh my God, he was a crooked sheriff, and he was amazing.
Nice. Some might call this panel amazing too.
It is an amazing panel.
Panel of the week.
I knew that you would like that. It was salacious, just the way you like them.
So, random panel of the week. Uncle Gary picked it out. It is Aquaman. Look in the mirror. Would you like to read what he says, or should I take it away?
It says, "I'm donating 50% of the profits from my Aquadolls to found a new seamen's home to be called Aquaman's Home for Seamen." Yeah. And there you go. A man with his Aquadolls, and he's gonna get money for his Aquadolls, and he's gonna have Home for Seamen.
Aquadolls and his Aquaman's Home for Seamen. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's pretty racy for a 40s comic. That appeared in an Action Comics backup Aquaman story. I don't own that issue yet, but it's definitely one I want to get. And I can't tell you for sure right now which I thought it was Action 67, but I tried to look it up the other day and it's not. So, but I'll, one day that's just the book I need to have. It's definitely Golden Age Aquaman, hence the yellow gloves.
Yeah, the yellow gloves, and so that's why he's one of your favorites, right? He's got his Aquadolls, and look at that, he's gonna found a new seaman's home.
Yeah, he's
Aquaman's Home for Seamen.
Home for Seamen, absolutely. What an altruistic idea. Let's make sure our seaman is taken care of.
And Mr. Keith says, to be fair, it was going to be Home for Little Swimmers, so this worked out. Yeah.
Bravo, Mr. Keith. Bravo. That is very well done. Take a bow, sir. That was very well done. I like that.
That is great. But
yep, all that. Listen, we're just, this show gives you all that jizz. Anything you want, it's just there.
Well, it's very interesting because we give you many things. But
so
there's one character.
If jazz hands are this, would that be jizz hands?
I think so.
Oh, I need a mic here for that one. Oh, shit. Oh.
But we give you many things on this show, like you said, jazz hands. But sometimes
jazz hands.
Sometimes we have to give you a character to join the F list.
Oh, here we go. I'm so glad you kept the wop 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 wop. I like that.
Yes, we gotta keep
F list without. Couldn't be F list without that.
Yeah.
Sal is just blowing it up, man. He is just killing it on these graphics.
He is, and today, the character, or should I say, the character of Pouches joining the F list is
Pouches. Did Rob Liefeld? Oh, come on.
The Pouch.
The Pouch.
There he is. The character of Pouches. His head is pouch. Look, his body's just full of pouches. His gun is pouches, and even the ammo is pouches.
Wow.
Dan Kelly introduced this character to me maybe like a month ago. He mentioned him, and we talked a little bit on the show. I'm like, okay, he's got to join the F list. I'll let a little bit of time go by, and there it is. There he is, the Pouch on the cover of Blood Strike 23.
Wow. And
it even says, introducing the Pouch.
That is just, wow.
And there we go. There is the Pouch, fighting every day, doing his job, fighting to defend the city he loves. He's pitting a pouch over a character. He's punching a character. If you notice his fist, each finger pouches. And then he could even pit villains inside of it, pouches. And here's the first picture of the Pouch.
It's got a Liefeld signature underneath it.
And yeah, it does. And then finally, when the pouch rests at night,
Oh, Jesus.
all his pouches are apart.
He goes to pieces or to pouches.
So there we go, the pouch. And it's Mr. Keith says his sidekick is Snapper Cargo.
Oh, Mr. Keith, you're just slaying it tonight.
Yeah, but but before that, Booge said Sonny and seeming jokes is low hanging fruit. I won't do it. And that's because Dan says Sonny also donates his home for semen. It's a tube sock he hides in the back of his closet. I don't know what Dan is talking about.
Oh my God!
I've never abused any socks.
Oh my God! That's one sock puppet I never want to see. Wow, Dan, man.
And then Mr. Keaton, when he did say the sidekick of Snapper Cargo, said, but seriously, he looks like Drywall from Scud, the Disposable Assassin.
He kind of does.
And Boo says his other sidekick, Team Fanny Pack.
There you go.
All right, so Uncle Gary, would you like to guess the history of this character?
The history of this character, it's got to be from a Rob Liefeld wet dream that he had, and that it really excited him, and he decided that he couldn't publish this under his own name because people would know, that he had a pouch fantasy, and he used an assumed name to create this character. That's the origin of the pouch.
All right, well, the pouch. This was the first image. It did start off as a joke. Rob Liefeld did make the character, and he posted it. So, yeah. And then obviously with this joke, actually people started to laugh at it and thought it was actually pretty funny. So then there started to be more pictures of the pouch and everything. I mean, literally the pouch is, even at Comic Vine, GameSpot even says, he's nothing but pouches.
Wow.
Yeah. The pouch is literally, he's just living pouches. And since he became pretty popular online, in an issue of Bloodstrike number 23, there's a backstory that actually features the pouch. And it's just quick. It's like this. There is the pouch. He tells his story of, he's just made of pouches. Doesn't really give why or how he became. Just he's of pouches. He defends the city he loves. And at night, he goes to sleep. He rests. Suddenly, his pouches are not all together. So I guess when he wakes up, maybe they just form together to make this super tough guy. And his, as we see, he also has guns that just filled with pouches.
And the bullets or pouches. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't imagine him hitting you with his pouches is going to hurt. I mean, a boxing, it's not. It's got to be a softer consistency than a boxing glove even. So how's that going to hurt you?
Yeah. And let's see. Dan says, can you imagine the amount of pocket lint he builds up?
Nah, that would be terrible.
Mr. Keith says, okay, but where exactly does he go on a commercial flight?
Yeah,
probably, I'm going to guess. I'm going to make a guess.
Yeah, because look, how many carry-ons is that?
I'm going to guess he has a plane of pouches.
Mm-hmm.
The pouch plane.
Wow.
And then Mr. Boo says, yeah, he has a good excuse when he can't.
Oh, he's got to wake up 3 hours early to find his keys.
Oh man, yeah, searched all them, but it's probably somewhere in somewhere locked up in like a pouch safety box or something. It depends on what the pouches are filled with. Probably just other pouches, maybe.
An infinity pouch.
Yeah, infinity pouch, like that gun. Look at that. The pouch gun uses pouch bullets.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it. So he was, just a joke, and because it actually did become popular, read that. He became a real character, and like I said, he's actually in comic books now. Now it went from a joke that Rob Liefeld posted to a character who has officially appeared in comic books. There he is, the pouch. All you people who collect first appearances, slabs, key issues, Bloodstrike number 23 is a key issue because it is the first official appearance of the pouch.
I may be able to live without having that book.
I don't know, man, but I kind of want it though. But only with that cover. I mean, I mean, I guess I'd take it without, but I would look for that
Well,
cover.
that would be a great character to store those socks that Dan is saying you have.
Yeah, those are the ones that he has, and he's not here to defend himself. So
No, he said he's the one that he's talking about you. So he's on offense, or as our Canadian friends say, offense.
yeah, but there we go. Let's see if we got the pouch, and now it's time we go from not more pouches. Dan says it's like when Pinocchio wished to become a real boy.
Rob Liefeld wished to become a pouch.
Yeah,
well, it could have been worse. He could have wished to become a foot.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, maybe the next character
would be the feet.
Who's that? Oh, it's just super
the feet. The feet.
The feet. So there we go. Feet. Yeah, definitely. Those characters are very tiny socks. Can't do much in those. But now, Uncle Gary, this is a story that you've picked out. It is time for our review. Today, we are reviewing the Green Lantern, which later became Green Lantern Green Arrow, issue number 76. No evil shall escape my sight. And, this story was written by Denny O'Neil, and the art was by Neil Adams, and the editor was Julie Schwartz. So this is a one-issue story. This starts us off, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, he's going through, and it even gives you a bit of a warning, saying, he's going through his life, but everything is about to change. And it really does. He sees somebody, it looks like, oh, look, there's these teens, somebody causing trouble, picking on this guy. And what does it say? It's like, we don't want you around here, fatso. And then, we see that, and then Green Lantern puts an end to it, and the guy in the suit, oh, thank you. But then later, once Green Lantern stops that, people are mad at him, and they're throwing cans, they're throwing it right at his head, and he's wondering what's going on. And Green Arrow comes, and the two talk, and Green Arrow tells him, he shows him pretty much around, why don't you actually talk to the people? Why don't you see what's going on? And, Green Lantern's like, well, but they committed a crime, that they're against, what they did was against the law. And Green Arrow pretty much shows him. He has him talk with the people, and there's even an older black man, and he even says, you help out the purple skins and the blue skins and the purple skins, but what about the black skins? And pretty much, Green Arrow also shows Green Lantern, look at all these people. Look, that guy you just sent to jail, he helps out his grandmother. He's the only one who helps her out. Who's going to help her out now? So Green Lantern, Hal Jordan is really at a crossroads. It's really something personal for him that, thinking about, he's always in space doing, whatever the Guardians tell him to do, whoever they're supposed to, whatever he's supposed to do, he does it for them, but he's not really helping out. He's kind of turned his back on Earth, on a lot of people who are in need of help. And then when he goes to confront this guy, Jubal Slade is his name, and he confronts him, and then Hal gets in trouble. He gets, how dare he break the rules? And then, so this issue is a lot of Green Lantern trying to decide, what's, what about right and wrong, and that things aren't always so black and white about the good guy and the bad guy. And sometimes even if maybe somebody finds a loophole around the law, they're still doing bad, like this, Slade, who's the landlord, and he's trying to get more money, and he doesn't.
Slumlord is a slumlord.
Yeah. So this is good. I really enjoy this one. I really like Green Arrow, some of his lines, and he's like, you're not a man, and this, and they tell him, oh, you just listen whatever they tell you to, and a lot of back and forth. And this one is a true classic that set things on the course for, like I said, first it was Green Lantern, and then it became Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and also we get to see one of the Guardians decides, and the Guardians decide, okay, we're going to send, OA sends one of them, and later I found out his name was, was it Appa Ali Absa? And he comes down, yeah. So not only is it a great one shot, it sets things on course for what's to come in the future of Green Lantern, and it really got me from wanting to read a lot more. And like we talked about earlier, we said this. Correct me if I'm wrong. That this is considered by many to be the comic book that started the Bronze Age.
Many people do consider that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I say this one is a classic, but I want to hear what you have to say first about it.
All right, so let's set the stage. This is Green Lantern, Green Arrow. It's still considered Green Lantern Volume 2. So, but with the 76 issue, they put on Green Arrow as a co-star on it. This is the slipcover for my great deluxe set of it. This is by Denny O'Neil, the great writer, and it's by Neil Adams, the great artist. And these guys are responsible for one of the greatest socially conscious books ever published, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, the Hard Traveling Heroes saga. And this was a monumental book. It changed comics in a lot of ways. This book had adult themes. The themes that ran through these issues that went from issue number 76 to 89, and 88 was a giant size. So the book actually got canceled because it was too far ahead of its time, and they had to finish out the stories that they had as backup stories in the Flash comic of the day. But
these issues. This one was, I believe, in 1970, right?
Right, 1970. So Green Lantern, Green Arrow, 76. Let's see if they reprint, and it's a famous cover. Here's the cover. So there's the cover. Started it all. This was just a groundbreaking book, and this absolute beautiful deluxe edition I have is signed by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams. And both of these gentlemen are no longer here. So this was a great honor for me to have this book signed by them.
I'm sorry I had cut out for a second before you had said that when we were talking about how it did come out in 1970.
Mm-hmm.
We just, okay.
Yep. It came out in 1970. So this book was groundbreaking. This series confronted, dealt with racism. I'll read a passage in here that really deals with racism. It dealt with drug addiction. They even, in the famous drug issues 85 and in 86, where Speedy was a junkie, they showed one of his friends had an OD and died. It dealt with overpopulation. It dealt with Native American rights. It dealt with ecological issues, pollution, overpopulation, cults. I mean, it's just all these worker rights and union rights. These things that don't matter today, right, Sonny? None of these things are relevant today, right? None of these issues.
It's just old comic books that nobody can relate to.
Yeah,
right?
nobody can relate to. One of the strongest passages when Green Arrow finds out that Speedy's a junkie, what does he do? He hits him. How could you do that? I raised you better than that. You're better than that. How could you do that? And then when he walks away, in his head, he's rationalizing, well, it wasn't anything I did. I raised him the right way. Yeah, I know I haven't been around a lot lately, but he should have known better than that. So he's rationalizing all these things where he's not at fault, and he just leaves a kid. I mean, it's just some heartbreaking stuff, and it was a comic ahead of its time and let a lot of people know that comics weren't just kids stuff. So, but 76 is what started this. And Green Lantern is the establishment. He's a space cop, is what he is.
Yeah.
Green Arrow,
down from space to Earth, real Earth. Yeah.
Absolutely. Green Arrow, who has lost his fortune, has become a man of the people now, and he sees things in a different light. And the man that was being harassed that you mentioned, Slade, he was a slumlord, and people in his slums were attacking him. And Green Lantern starts to protect him, and people start throwing things at Green Lantern. He's got a little riot on his hands. And he sees Green Arrow, and he's like, I'm glad you're here. I can need some help against these people, blah, blah. I don't know why they're doing this. And the Arrow says, you know what? I feel like joining them. Yeah. And Green Lantern does not understand.
Yeah. Mr. Casey, to Uncle Gary's point, how many of these writers, artists, and editors could have just kept writing funny kids books? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good point. They took a chance,
They did. The medium was ready to grow up. And these guys, and with a lot of the Marvel comics, with the more relevant, themes and the heroes that weren't the cookie cutter heroes and all that, it had started to move that direction. And then with what this series did, it took it in a whole nother light. I mean, where it really confronted these issues. So again, here we have Green Lantern, the cop, the establishment, and Green Arrow, the liberal voice of the people here. So the Arrow is showing Green Lantern how this is a tenement, and how what this guy is doing, and he's saying, okay, so they roughed up the fat cat landlord who owns this dump, the creep who hasn't spent a cent on repairs in years. Now he figures he can make more money using the property for a parking lot, so he's going to evict the tenants. Kick a lot of old folks out in the street. Lord knows this building is bad, but they don't have anything else. Like what you've seen, listen, I hope you enjoyed playing superhero out there. I hope it did a lot of good for your ego. And, the Lantern says, hey, easy. You got no cause to yell at me. I have a job. I do it. And Green Arrow says, yeah, seems like I've heard that line before at the Nazi war trials. And so they're hated. And then a voice comes from the side. And it says, I want to ask the ring slinger a question, Mr. Green Arrow. And it's this beautiful, dignified looking, black man who looks like he's had some rough times. But he says, excuse me, I want to ask the ring slinger a question, Mr. Green Arrow. I've been reading about you, how you worked for the blue skins and how on a planet someplace you helped out the orange skins. And you've done considerable for the purple skins. Only there's some skins I've never heard you bother with. The black skins. I want to know how come. Answer me that, Mr. Green Lantern. And Hal just hangs his head and says, I can't. I mean, God, that's
powerful.
That's still a gut punch, right?
Yeah.
1970. 1970. Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams put this in a funny book. I mean, I am in awe of this. I once did a con where we had an essential reading class or a panel, and this was my pick for essential reading, this Hard Traveling Heroes, and Mr. Adams was there, and I asked Neil Adams, have any anecdotes you want me to tell? And of course, this is the run that introduced the John Stewart Green Lantern, and he gave us a few anecdotes about that, and
Bruce says they broke taboos. Yeah, agreed.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Matter of fact, Neil Adams was the one that said we need to create an African American superhero. We need a black superhero. DC said, oh, that's a great idea, and we'll do them. And they had the idea to be Green Lantern, and DC management said his name will be Lincoln Washington. And Neil Adams said, oh, hell no, we're not giving him a damn slave name. His name is going to be John Stewart, and he's going to be a professional. And he was an architect. When they first introduced him, he was an architect. And that's still part of his past, but they added the military aspect in there, too. But they were going to give him Lincoln Washington was going to be his name. Neil Adams said, hell no. And he became John Stewart.
John Stewart now.
John Stewart.
And Mr. Keith did say, he said you can compare it to the Andor series or Andor TV series now. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
I have not either.
I will take that into consideration.
So after that gut punch, Green Lantern gets on board. He investigates further, and he sees this Slade is a scumbag, and he goes against him, and it puts him into trouble with the Guardians of the Universe a little bit, because he has not followed the rule of law, and they don't like this. And one of the Guardians actually comes down because Green Lantern and Green Arrow challenged them to get off their high thrones and see how real, people actually live and don't judge from above. And one of them goes with them, and that starts the Hard Traveling Heroes, where they travel America. And I cannot recommend this more highly. And I've also said about Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil, I say it all the time, and we keep saying it. If you're a fan of the modern day Batman, you owe them a great deal of gratitude, because they transformed Batman from the campy TV show residue that was in everybody's mind and in the comics into making him the gothic dark Avenger of the Night again. Absolutely. And they did that, and they transformed him back into the gothic creature of the night he was when he first was created. So you owe them a great debt, and comics owes them a great debt for growing this medium, and for showing that this is an art form that is to be respected and can have adult themes. And like I said, this book was so ahead of its time, it even got canceled after the 89th issue, from 76 to 89, because it was just, and I tell you something else funny about the issues. There were 2 or 3 issues in it were kind of standard superhero fare, and those are the weakest issues in the run. But the ones where they tackled the social were all standout stories. So,
yeah, the story definitely did make me want to check out. What was the story arc called? You said that it led to
the Hard Traveling Heroes.
Yeah, because it sounds really good.
And it's been collected many times, many variations. The originals are a little pricey, but it's been collected many times over. So, get this.
And yeah, Boosh had said Lincoln Washington would have been a ridiculous name
Ridiculous.
for what they're trying to do.
Completely. And like I said, this came from the man himself, Neil. This came from Neil himself. And another cool side, like
Adams and O'Neill showing how Batman should be done.
Absolutely. Adams also, we told the people at the panel, we said the man is down here in this building and he has copies of this. You go down there and buy it, he'll sign it. And he thanked us later because he sold out every copy he had.
Nice. And Mr. Keats, not to belabor the point, but books like this and Mouse are ones we're still talking about now, not the ones who didn't. Yeah, I said some of those books, like even Mouse, which, as I showed earlier, I will have to be checking out reading, is, people are starting to ban it, because it's so powerful. And it's unfortunate that sometimes such powerful stories get canceled and banned because people are afraid to take chances and afraid to face reality.
They're banning it because there's a scene of a nude mouse in a tub that it's so stupid. It's so absolutely stupid. But yeah, Mr. Keith is right. We're talking about this book and Mouse and these other relevant books, that elevate this art form we love to literature, and that's what it is. Watchmen, Dark Knight Returns, these books, Born Again, right? These books are just amazing. So, the fact that we that we have these masterpieces in comic, I'm very passionate about highlighting these things. Like this book here, I'm very passionate about what Adams and O'Neill, brought to the comic industry and how they helped elevate the art form. So, I highly recommend anybody out there that hasn't read this to give this book the chance and that it deserves, and it should be, I think it should be on every comic fan's bookshelf.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that I read it. And another part I did like was when Green Lantern, Hal Jordan's in his trouble, that when they say, "Oh, your fellow brother," and he says that filth is no brother of mine. I really like that line because too, like, there are people who maybe people would assume, oh, they're more like you, or don't just assume everyone's like it because we maybe look alike or the same skin color or even like the same clothes or something like that. We're individuals, So I like that. That filth is no brother of mine. So yeah, this is a true classic, and I believe a true turning point for the character of Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, like you were just saying, a whole new day and age for not just Green Lantern, but for comic books. So this one, Green Lantern, issue number 76, No Evil Shall Escape My Sight, is a true classic, I believe a must-read. I believe one of those perfect comic books. I, Sonny Kruger, on the Codex podcast with the Codex Station, give it a 10 out of 10. And Uncle Gary, how about you? What is your rating?
Well, Sonny, I am very happy to see that that's the grade you gave it, and you respect what it is very much. And listen, the story is great, the art is great, the emotion is great. That gut punch of that black man calling him out, right? I mean, that resonates all these years later. That's still a gut punch. And of course, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. And the only reason I'm giving it that high is because I can't give it a 20 out of 20.
There you go. So everybody, in case you don't know, check out Green Lantern Volume 2, issue number 76. A true classic and one of the most important comic books in history.
Get the whole arc, the hard traveling heroes.
Yeah, and I see even Boosh said, that he needs to get that collection. Same
Boosh.
here.
Yeah, Boosh. This
Same
is
here.
Yeah, for all of us that love the medium,
easy,
real comic.
Boosh to say easy, 10 out of 10 for all
10
of the
10, baby. Easy. Yeah, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
That's like I said, I'd give it a 20 out of 20. It's an easy 10 out of 10. It's a must be, and it's comic history, and it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. And now, before I end it, there was some comments, but I didn't want to put it in there before as we were talking about that. But it was about that old F-lister that we had, and Mr. Dan Kelly somewhere had said that he wishes that it would be great to see an action figure of the pouch. I would want that. And then Mr. Keith said that he needs a buddy called the Couch.
There you go. I think so too. The pouch and the couch.
That's right. So today, Gary, it's been quite an episode. It's a review of a true classic in Green Lantern 76. We also had one of the F-listers who I think shall stay on the list forever.
We just looking at that picture, we don't even have to say anything else. We look at that and we know an F-lister when we see it.
Yeah. And you know what? One thing I forgot to do was this.
Added. There you go.
Add him to the list.
Yeah.
So.
And the good thing is, when it gets too crowded, all the other F-listers can fit in him.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got plenty of pouch stuff. Like I said, I think he'll have a pouch plane. He probably has a couch mansion or a pouch mansion somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came to the story, Bruce said definitely a masterpiece, drama shows and movies, which they wish, they could do stories like that. We agree. The pouch is pretty amazing. No, we know it's about Green Lantern, not the pouch. But yeah, so everyone, it's been a true great episode. Like I said, a classic tale that we reviewed. Somebody funny joined the F list with the pouch. We had a lot of comic book news, and of course, very insanity. Maybe it wasn't a surprise as it was Thunderbolts or Thundercats.
Thundercats.
Yeah, no Thunderbolts. Thundercats. We also had Uncle Gary's 5 statements, and of course, we had that random panel of the week with Aquaman. With his Aquaman's home for seamen. But everybody
needs all the contributions you can get.
Yeah. But now we could start wrapping the show up, and Uncle Gary can tell you what we've got dripping for everybody.
Oh, all the socials. Look at us. Look at the things we've talked about tonight. You know that we're positively dripping with all the socials, and we'd like nothing else to give them better than to give them to you, baby.
That's right, at the Codex Station. And of course, you can always check out our website, www.thecodexstation.com, to get some merch, meet the team, and so much more. And then Codex is always having giveaways. Tomorrow on Comic Character of the Week, that is where they will be announced of what's the giveaway for the month of May.
You know what? I don't remember what the giveaway is, but the Character of the Week is Winter Soldier.
That is right. So that should be a good one. Check it out. And, of course, check out everything else later on today. Feel free. You can always go on Facebook and see us at Comic Character of the Day. Site we're all a part of. We all join. And that's how most of us met. So
that's right.
Join that as well. Have yourself some good time. Join some good conversations every single day. And then, of course, on Saturday, there will be Comics Unleashed. So check out everybody getting their comic books, all the guys hanging out. Everyone always stuff from the Codex Station. Even every day, there's always more Codex videos on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. The Codex Station is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. And Boo said, bury him with cement shoes. for the pouch.
For the pouch.
But I think the pouch, how with the story Green Lantern, right, set things on course for Green Lantern and Green Arrow in comic books. And look at that. Here we are over 50 years later, still talking about it. I think the pouch is going to be a character from the F list that we keep talking about. Like what other character did we talk about?
Well, the pouch, we probably have some things in those pouches that Heavy Flow can use.
So there you go. Everybody, thank you very much for joining us. I'm your host, Sonny Kruger. I was joined by my co-host, Uncle Gary. I hope you all had a terrific day. I hope you have a terrific week. A terrific life that is a 10 out of 10. Take care, everyone. I will see you next week on another episode of the Codex Podcast. And Uncle Gary will see you next. When was that? Tomorrow on Comic Character of the Week.
Winter Soldier.
All right, everyone. Take care.